excited to go live with Ariella Azaraf. This episode is really awesome, and I've been really wanting to talk about core beliefs because for me in my journey, I have been really feeling like core beliefs have been coming up, whether it's positive or negative. And I think that when we address negative core beliefs, that really helps unlock negative thought patterns, negative emotional loops, any triggers, any blockages. Those things kind of are more easily unraveled when you go to the core of them and figure out, why is it that I am having this reaction or having this trigger or feeling this way about something when it may not be that person's intention. It may just be life, like life happens and things go wrong or don't go our way or according to our expectations all the time. But I think it's really helpful when we go to that why and we dig deeper and we understand what it is. Why is it? What is the core reason? What was the past, either childhood experience or sometimes for some people, and I've seen this with friends that I've even chatted with and we've gone down deep and they realize, oh my gosh, my mom struggled with that. And she actually told me a story when she was pregnant, and they go on that and they realize, like, my mom almost into a car crash when she was pregnant with me. And that's why I've always been afraid of driving in the rain. Like, I have this like gut, like intense response, like not just nervous, but like really intense response to driving in the rain. And so I think that, I think it's really good to go ahead and to really get into the why of it. So I'm bringing on Ariella, and she's gonna talk with us about core beliefs. I'm super excited. She's joined right now. Yay! Hi.
Hi, guys. Hi, Whitney.
Hi, how are you doing?
How are you? I
Good.
feel like I was interrupting a flow of thought that you were talking about.
Yeah, no, not at all. Never interrupting. It's just really cool because I think, like, the whole reason why I wanted to talk about core beliefs, especially with you, because you are so knowledgeable about breaking it down, and for us to give ourselves space to figure things out and to address negative core beliefs is so important, um, because it really helps us then kind of unravel any negative thought patterns, any negative emotional loops, or anything that we're struggling with. When we get to the why of it, the core of it, that just really helps us with everything else. Then we can easily identify.
The
So,
why helps us break that pattern, because we're kind of in this autopilot of life and behaving and kind of keep going in that cycle. But when we really stop and we ask why, we're really enabling ourselves to take a step back and to break whatever cycle isn't working for us.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I just know it's super important, and I know that this episode is going to help so many people identify those reasons, those core reasons why they're struggling, and it's going to bring a lot of freedom to people. So I'm just really excited to kind of go live with you and chat a little bit about what we talked about and anything else that you have, any thoughts that you have or anything that you'd like to share as well. So yeah.
Something I'm thinking, first of all, it was so much fun recording with you. Anyone kind of listening to this, Whitney is a light of just your own personal journey and your own passion, to understand yourself and to bring mental health, to more people and just to create more awareness. So just even having this conversation is so important. So kudos to you, my dear, for creating this platform. And I'm excited to hear future podcasts that you have. And I'm really honored. Thank you. I don't take it for granted. Thank you for finding me on Instagram and for wanting to interview me. Something I think about a lot is I think a lot of people, including myself, we just want strategies, we just want tips of how can I, okay, yes, therapy is nice and a lot of us are engaged in therapy, but sometimes we just want tips. We want to scroll through our Instagram and we want just quick tools. A lot of times I call it like our toolbox. Like we are these kind of handyman and we walk around and we need tools in our toolbox to know how to respond or how to cope.
Definitely.
So what I actually feel very passionate about is continuously building our tools,
Yeah.
continuously putting tools into our toolbox. It's an analogy I use a lot with kids, but I think as adults we could benefit from it too, of just continuously filling our box with more and more how to help ourselves.
Absolutely. I think the more we learn about how things work or how to even address something that we're going through, especially when you're really coming up against a challenge or something happens in your life that really shakes you or you're being really triggered by something, like it's hard. It's really hard to knock yourself out of that space and become more of like an observer and realize, oh, I'm just having these thoughts and these feelings and these emotions, and it's linked to these past experiences. I'm kind of reliving that, and all of that negativity is pushing forward into my present, which feels really overwhelming. Um, so for you, like in your practice as a therapist, how do you walk some of your clients through that? How do you
Yeah,
help people?
it's a good question. I think it's twofold. On one hand, I think that yes, it's important to kind of identify the why, right? Behind every behavior, there's a function behind every behavior, right? We operate from a place of understanding of why am I reacting in this way. So on one hand, yes, we want to create the awareness of, okay, why am I responding in this way? Why am I reacting in this way? But we want to delicately also, ha- kind of balance the two, that we also want to know, okay, what are the tools I need of how to respond? So I think that's a really good question. I think we should start first with the awareness of both. What is going on for me in this moment? Why am I reacting? What's my core belief about this? Something that's been coming up, I think, a lot of, so I specialize with young professionals and in their 20s and 30s and anxiety and depression. And for a lot of clients who are either single, not client, all of us, right? Either single or either adults, living at home with parents, is that a lot of reactions coming up around family dynamics, right? It's just a lot more, if you're living at home or maybe you're visiting home more often, it's just a lot more surfaces when you're just kind of around your family.
Yeah.
And something I've been speaking a lot about is that sometimes in the relationships we feel most comfortable in, we're emotionally lazy, right? We kind of just like say what we want, do what we want. And there's a twofold. There's a part of it that we have to look at, okay, why am I responding in this way? Or why am I, treating a family member in this way? And then it's a quick shift of what do I need to replace? Like what's not working? So a part of what I help my clients kind of guide them through is a gentle like mindfulness practice of like, okay, observe yourself in that moment. Observe what you look like. And
Mm-hmm.
then once the kind of the chaos, no good conversation happens in a point of anger and frustration. So when kind of the storm passes and you're able to reach a place of calm, it's then about asking yourself, okay, how can I react differently?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do I
Mm-hmm.
need to step away? Do I need to take a deep breath? Do
Yep.
I need to count to 4 before I react? So I am understanding why I'm reacting because I'm gaining awareness of my triggers, right? But
Yep.
also it's not okay, right? We want to practice to be our most healthy selves with the people that we love, right? To enable us to be in healthy relationships. You don't want to be emotionally lazy in your healthiest relationship. You want to be mindful of what you say and how you respond and how you react. So it's a very gentle balance of the both of understanding your triggers, and then once you're triggered, what do I do with that? Right?
So
There's so many DBT skills, like dialectical behavior therapy. There's a lot of skills in the moment of what you could do if you can't physically leave somewhere, what you could do in your mind to kind of distract or kind of regulate yourself to calm down.
yeah, because that's the hard part, I think, is we can get really caught up emotionally and mentally. And some people maybe are more predispositioned to one or the other or both, where they get more in their head or someone's more emotionally just troubled, easily troubled,
Easily
um,
triggered, yeah.
and triggered. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really helpful, of just like bringing it back. One of the things that you mentioned in the episode that is super, super helpful. And it still really resonates with me in just in my life and what I'm going through. If I've faced anything, it just, I loved how you said to give yourself an allotted amount of time to just like wallow and be in the moment and feel all the feels. And then after like that 5 seconds, or if you need a minute and you need 5 minutes, depending on what happened, like, but definitely set like a timer, set a point of time where it's not carrying into the rest of your day. It's not ruining your day. It's not messing with anything else. It doesn't go on forever and ever and ever, but just feel all the feels and let it go. And that was so powerful.
And I'm so glad you're saying that, Whitney, because I think, something I say a lot is like name it, honor it, and let it go, right? And I think that it's so hard because we just naturally have more downtime now. And, people that are maybe more avoidant of their feelings may have a harder time naming it, right? They may have a
Mm-hmm.
harder time kind of identifying or pinpointing how they're feeling. And
Yeah.
then they have a hard time honoring it. Like it doesn't feel good to sit in pain. It doesn't feel good to honor a difficult feeling.
Yeah.
But those that are able to wallow in it, right? Perhaps somebody that is more prone to anxiety or depression, or just is an analytical thinker, right? That you don't have a hard time thinking about how you're feeling. You could stay there for too long. And that's the balance. The balance is not allowing yourself to stay there for too long. And sometimes exactly we need skills. I literally do this with people that you set a timer. Okay, I'm going to let myself think about this for another 3 minutes and then I'm going to distract. I'm going to watch a show. I'm going to call a friend. I'm going to jump on Instagram to watch an informative live, right? Like I'm going to do something totally different so
Mm-hmm.
I don't stay in that space because it's very, very easy to stay in that space.
Yeah. It's so easy. That's one of the hooks, is you can really then relate everything that's happening throughout your day to that one thing that you're being triggered by or struggling with, and it can just, that energy behind all of that is what then can kind of permeate your atmosphere and kind of color your lenses a little bit, which then just kind of pushes you forward into that same negativity, and you just keep repeating it, which sucks. That's a real bad day.
That is, you're literally setting yourself up for a bad day, right? But when you allow yourself to have the timer, you're saying, okay, I'm going to create space for this feeling, and then I'm going to radically shift, right? I'm going to feel it. I'm going to feel it hard, and then I'm going to shift to do something else. So I don't stay here, because
Yeah.
that's up to us. The decision is yours, right? You can
Yeah.
allow yourself to stay, but that is really a type of self-harm, right? It's not cutting or it's not overeating or it's not binging, but it's an emotional self-harm because you're not putting yourself in an emotional space that is helpful to you.
Right. Yeah. So with that, and with feeling empowered to make that decision for ourselves, um what are some tips that you have for somebody who is struggling to make that choice? Is, since that's self-harm, I mean, that's kind of in another, can be into another category of someone that's really struggling with self-awareness, and just also feeling worthy of having a good day or having good things come into their life, and so they're really struggling with worthiness, and so making that choice, they feel more victimized and
Mm-hmm.
less empowered. What are some ways that we can connect back to our worth
Yeah.
and our
Well,
value?
yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of research shows that whenever we want to make a change, right, when we need a kind of like increased point of motivation, we have to start with why, right? Why? Why do I want to do this, right? So let's say you're applying to medical school. Why? What is your why? Let's say you finally decided you want to lose that weight. Why? What's your motivator, right? When that chocolate cake comes to the table and you want your 2 slices, like what is your why? Why are you kind of not going to have that right now? So I think the same goes for when you don't believe that you are worthy, or if you don't have self-awareness. And maybe, I talk to people, I just had this conversation with somebody who's um, of the growth mindset, but is not open to therapy. And I really wanted to understand why. Like what is the fear? Like start that conversation because sometimes you don't know why. I run a lot of, you could see on my IGTV, I'm sure you see, I run a lot of kind of like mini mindfulness meditation. So I'll speak about a topic and then we'll go into like a little bit of a reflective, quiet space to think about, to really seal what I was talking about. And earlier this morning, I spoke about mindfulness and eating. And there was a woman that reached out to me before and said, like, meditation's not for me. I fell asleep during yoga. Like, I can't come. And I'm like, challenge yourself. Like, what is that about? This isn't yoga. It's 7 minutes, right? It's just calm space. Ended up, we talked after. I said, how was that? She's like, it was so helpful. Like, you're right. But you have to go to this place of why. Okay, so you're associating this with this. So that can also be sometimes when someone's resistant to therapy, you're associating it with a different experience. When somebody struggles with self-worth, right? What are the messages you've had about your self-worth, right? It goes back to what we spoke about in the podcast, Whitney, of your core belief of self.
Mm-hmm.
And then taking a moment and saying, hold on, as an adult, like, I want to correct that. I am worthy, right? I need to change that narrative. But if your why is, oh, well, I grew up in a home where the messages that came across me was that I wasn't worthy, of course you're going to have that narrative for your life. But what an icky way to walk around the world. It's so heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that struggle goes in with everything, with your career, with your relationships, with your friendships, and that's been something that I've looked back in just like the past week. I got really reflective on, why did I make that choice? And am I making that choice right now in my life? And it had to do around me realizing that I do struggle with feeling unworthy. So anytime that an opportunity came or somebody said, oh, like, you'd be really good at this, I would follow it, because I would think, oh, well, this person is, telling me I'll be good at this, I'll be accepted in this role, or I'll be, I'll have accolades, I'll have applause, I'll have praise. And so I would go in that direction, either career or just in even work that I was doing just in the community. And I ended up getting really chewed up and spat out because, like, used, because it wasn't my passion. It wasn't what I felt like was my purpose. So I was just literally following wherever the applause was, and wherever I felt like I would be accepted, because I felt so unworthy of a good opportunity or my purpose, what I feel called to do. And that's hard. I know a lot of people struggle with that.
A
So,
lot of times in self-acceptance work, which is something I feel super passionate about, I do in a lot of my work with my clients, is that when your narrative is dark, right? Or a lot of times after somebody has been through a trauma, the world is dark, right? It feels very, very dark. And the way to work through that is really through a spiritual lens that I use, that I think it's about trying to have the frame of mind of, how am I going to collect light? I need to collect light. It's almost feeling like every minute is a potential miracle, right? So sometimes we need to find helpers on the way. So like that person that presented to you, Whitney, I think you'd be amazing at this. Can you, whatever it is they presented, looking at that as, oh my gosh, okay, that person is believing in me when I don't believe in me. So a lot of times when your narrative is dark, I think a lot of young professionals struggle with like imposter syndrome, right? Like, who am
yes.
I to get this job? Do they know I'm only 23? Like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? But it's like, hold on, you were hired, they took you seriously, so now you take yourself seriously. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's actually a really important point to work through feelings of like, I'm not worthy,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to try and recognize that whatever is presented to you, whatever people come in your path, they are there to bring you light and to
Yeah.
remind you of your strength and what you have to offer.
Yep. Yep. And if something doesn't sit well with you, or it doesn't feel aligned with where you want to be, that's okay. It's not evil. It's not something that's going to take you off course. Or if you did make those decisions, right, and you went along something that you didn't necessarily feel aligned with, or like that was the right position for you, like for young professionals, that's okay. It's just another stepping stone. There's so many good lessons that you can take from every experience that you have in your life, and it can show you what not to do, or what not to be, or how not to manage, people. You can even have those lessons. There's
Yes,
so many. So it's just,
that's for
we're
sure.
all on a journey, and there's nothing that can derail you from your purpose or what you
Your
feel
thoughts,
your
your
passion.
own your own thoughts can derail you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, certainly yes, but like ultimately on the road, I feel like it's not like you're going to fail at life, just
Yeah.
because you took a different position. But yes, like thoughts, emotions, negative core beliefs, those are blockages that keep you back from being able to enjoy your life, make the right decisions for your life, right relationships, choosing the right person for you, the right career for you.
I think it goes without saying the importance of, for sure, tips, but also to really work through the core beliefs. We do need to engage in therapy to really work through it and do that work, because tips are important, right? We bring them out of our toolbox when we need, but we need to really do the work, kind of like the surgery and therapy
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Yeah, we need to invest in ourselves in that way. And I want it. How does someone contact you if they feel um, connected with you? If they're really feeling like you're the person to help them work through something, where can they go to get connected with you and perhaps go through therapy sessions with you?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me on Instagram. It's my name, Ariella AzarafLCSW. And it's exactly that at Gmail is my email account. So you could DM me, you can email me. I'm happy to set up a free consultation to talk about if we are a good match, if you'd like to work with me. Um, and you could feel free to just follow me on Instagram and see. I write a lot of different posts on grief and self-acceptance and a lot of a lot of different mental health topics. But I do think that Instagram has created an amazing platform. You could really get a sense of somebody
Yeah.
before going to them for therapy. You could get a sense from their IGTV, or you can get a sense from their posts of like what their personality is like. So yes, feel free to get in touch with me through that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I know people need it, and they need people like you that understand people, that have a heart for people, that care. And that's what drew me to you when I saw you on Instagram. And I was like, I need to connect with this woman. She's beautiful on the inside and out. She's wonderful.
Hmm.
With so many good tips and tricks, and your IGTVs are amazing. Um, and I just love sharing that because that's light to the world and that helps people, and we all need it.
You're
So
so sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Winnie.
yeah,
Thank you for doing this. I
yeah.
thank you on behalf of everybody that needs all these tips and tricks. Thank you,
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining. We had like 15-ish people join. So thank you so much for joining. And this will be saved so you can always come back and reference it. Thank you so much,
Okay, perfect.
Ariella.
Thank
You're
you,
wonderful.
Whitney. I
Thank
hope to
you.
work with you again.
Yes, definitely. Definitely
Happy
happening.
Monday.
Happy Monday. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.